Law enforcement officers face countless challenges throughout their careers. Their job can affect their physical and mental health, from high-pressure situations to the aftermath of traumatic events. In fact, according to recent studies, law enforcement officers experience higher rates of depression, anxiety, and PTSD than the general population. However, despite the importance of addressing mental health in this field, many officers struggle to seek out help due to stigma or a perceived lack of support. Why is that, and what can we do about it? That's what we are going to talk about. Hello, I am Cody. Welcome to this presentation on the importance of peer support in law enforcement. Here is what we are going to cover in our time together. What peer support is and why it is important. The difference between peer support and counseling. The mission of a peer support program. 7 indicators for when to seek assistance. Exceptions to the confidentiality of a peer support session. Traumatic stress and steps to recover. And finally, Missouri's peer support law. In the challenging and often dangerous world of law enforcement, the concept of strength has long been intertwined with the image of the fearless, unshakable officer. Officers are trained to remain calm under pressure, to put the mission and their team before themselves, and to project confidence and control. While these qualities are essential for public safety and team effectiveness, they can also create an unintended and sometimes dangerous side effect. The I'm good code of silence. The I'm good code of silence is the cultural norm within many law enforcement agencies that discourages officers from expressing vulnerability or seeking mental health support. It's a badge of stoicism that too often hides the personal struggles officers face. This code of silence reinforces the belief that admitting to stress, trauma, or emotional pain is a sign of weakness, a betrayal of the profession's warrior ethos. Yet the consequences of this silence are profound. Officers who suppress their mental health struggles can experience worsening symptoms of stress, depression, and even suicidal ideation. This code of silence not only isolates the officer, but can also undermine team cohesion and safety by leaving mental health issues unaddressed until they become crises. So why does the I'm good code of silence exist? The I'm good code of silence is deeply rooted in the culture of law enforcement, where officers are expected to embody strength, resilience, and control in the face of adversity. Here are several key factors to help explain why this mindset persists. Historical emphasis on toughness. Law enforcement has traditionally prioritized a warrior ethos, a focus on bravery, grit, and the ability to face danger without hesitation. Officers are trained to be calm under pressure, to suppress fear, and to project confidence, which are all essential qualities on the job. Unfortunately, this same emphasis can discourage the expression of vulnerability or mental health struggles. Fear of perceived weakness. In many agencies, showing signs of stress, anxiety, or emotional difficulty is mistakenly equated with weakness or lack of fitness for duty. Officers often worry that admitting to mental health challenges might lead to being judged as unreliable, less competent, or unfit for service, jeopardizing their careers, promotions, or reputation among their peers. Stigma and mistrust of mental health services. Some officers view mental health professionals with skepticism, fearing that seeking help could result in disciplinary action, forced leave, or even job loss. This stigma is compounded by concerns about confidentiality and how seeking help might impact their ability to carry a firearm or perform operational duties. Peer pressure and group dynamics. Law enforcement agencies operate on strong bonds of camaraderie and team unity. Officers depend on each other for safety and trust. Admitting to mental health struggles can be seen as letting the team down or creating a liability, which fosters peer pressure to maintain a facade of strength at all times. Organizational culture and leadership. In some agencies, leadership does not prioritize or model healthy mental health practices. without open acknowledgement from the top that it's okay to ask for help. Many officers internalize the idea that silence is the norm. This lack of leadership engagement perpetuates the code of silence. Fear of losing control. Officers are trained to be in control of situations, including their own emotions. The idea of losing control by admitting to struggles runs counter to this training. It's often easier to say, "I'm good," than to admit the internal challenges they may be experiencing. To summarize, the "I'm good" code of silence exists because of a combination of cultural, historical, organizational, and individual factors that reinforce the idea that asking for help is a sign of weakness rather than strength. Overcoming this code requires agencies to foster a culture where mental health support is normalized, respected, and actively encouraged, making it clear that seeking help is an essential part of being an effective and healthy officer. Why it's important to break the "I'm good" code of silence. The "I'm good" code of silence prevents officers from acknowledging and addressing the mental health challenges that naturally arise from the stresses and traumas of the job. Breaking this code is crucial because mental health is critical to officer safety and effectiveness. Unaddressed stress and trauma can lead to burnout, poor decision-making, substance abuse, and even suicide. When officers hide their struggles, they risk compromising their own safety and the safety of their team and the public. It reduces stigma and promotes a healthier workforce. When officers feel they cannot ask for help, mental health issues fester and worsen. Breaking the silence allows officers to see that seeking help is a strength, not a weakness, and that everyone, no matter how tough, can benefit from support. It improves trust within the community. The public expects officers to be professional and mentally fit to handle crises. Officers who acknowledge and manage their own mental health are more empathetic, less likely to use excessive force, and better able to de-escalate situations, thereby strengthening community trust. How do we break the "I'm good" code of silence? Breaking the "I'm good" code of silence requires a cultural shift that empowers officers to acknowledge and address their mental health without fear of stigma or professional repercussions. Here are concrete steps to dismantle this barrier and create a healthier, more supportive environment. Leadership must set the tone. Supervisors and agency leaders must model vulnerability and normalize seeking help. When chiefs, sheriffs, and commanders talk openly about mental health and share personal experiences or struggles, it sets the example for everyone else. Use of peer support programs. Implement peer support teams where trained officers provide confidential, judgment-free support to colleagues. These programs can bridge the gap between struggling officers and mental health professionals. Confidential and accessible mental health services. Ensure that mental health services are confidential, easy to access, and culturally competent. Officers must trust that seeking help will not result in retaliation or loss of status. Training and education. Incorporate mental health literacy into the academy and ongoing training. Teach officers to recognize signs of stress and trauma in themselves and their peers, and to understand that seeking help is a normal part of the job. Policy changes and protections. Develop policies that protect officers' rights to seek mental health help without fear of punishment or stigma. For example, allow time off for mental health and separate mental health services from disciplinary processes. Why we want to break the code of silence. Breaking the "I'm good" code of silence helps build a healthier, safer, and more effective law enforcement profession, one where officers can thrive and communities can trust those who serve them. Everyone benefits of breaking the code of silence. For officers, when the "I'm good" code of silence is broken, officers experience significant benefits that enhance their personal and professional lives. Officers become more resilient and better equipped to manage the stress and challenges of the job, developing healthier coping skills that allow them to process trauma and maintain their well-being. This cultural shift reduces the risk of burnout, PTSD, and even suicide, giving officers the tools and support they need to handle the emotional toll of their work. With improved mental health, officers are better able to perform their duties, make sound decisions, and respond effectively in high-pressure situations. Additionally, breaking the code fosters a stronger sense of camaraderie and trust within the team. Officers learn that it's okay to lean on each other, share their struggles, and work together to maintain a healthy and supportive work environment. This not only strengthens the bonds between officers, but also builds a more effective and unified team. Benefits for agencies. When the I'm Good code of silence is broken, agencies benefit by fostering a healthier and more effective workforce. Officers who feel supported and have access to mental health resources are more engaged, more resilient, and better able to perform their duties. This support helps reduce turnover and sick leave, as officers are less likely to burn out or experience unmanageable stress that leads to extended time off. Agencies also see a significant improvement in morale. When officers know that their well-being is a priority, trust and loyalty grow, leading to a more positive organizational culture. This in turn enhances the agency's reputation as a supportive and professional workplace, which is vital for attracting and retaining high-quality officers. By breaking the code of silence, agencies build a more stable, dedicated, and high-performing team, ensuring that both the officers and the communities they serve benefit from strong, reliable law enforcement. For the community, when the I'm Good code of silence is broken, the community benefits in multiple ways. Officers who have the mental health support they need are better equipped to serve the public with empathy and professionalism. They are more capable of managing stress, de-escalating tense situations, and making sound decisions that prioritize safety for all involved. With mental health needs addressed, officers are less likely to engage in incidents of excessive force or misconduct, which helps to build trust between the community and law enforcement. When officers are seen as caring and competent professionals, the relationship between the police and the community strengthens. This trust translates into a safer and more secure community overall. When officers can operate at their best, both physically and mentally, the entire community reaps the rewards of a law enforcement agency that is committed to professionalism, safety, and mutual respect. To summarize, breaking the I'm Good code of silence is not just about individual well-being. It's about building a culture of health, resilience, and trust within law enforcement and the communities they serve. By dismantling this barrier, we empower officers to get the help they need, strengthen the agency as a whole, and build a safer, more compassionate relationship with the community. This brings us to the end of our first section. To recap, so far we have covered the I'm Good code of silence and why it exists, the importance of breaking the code, how we break the code, and who benefits from breaking the code. In the next section, we will explore the concept of traumatic events and how they impact law enforcement and corrections staff. We'll begin by defining what a traumatic event is and examine how exposure to these events is an inevitable part of the job. We will then discuss the types of traumatic events that officers and corrections staff commonly encounter, ranging from critical incidents involving violence, serious injury, or death, to the cumulative stress of repeated exposure to human suffering. Finally, we will examine the common responses that staff may experience after such events, including both normal and problematic reactions. This section will provide a solid foundation for understanding trauma's impact on professionals and the importance of support and recovery strategies.